couch. So right now we are going to get right into Ready to Love. This episode 4, was so good, you guys. Hella entertainment and great conversations were had. So let's just get right into it, yeah? The guys, they meet with Tommy in his tavern. I feel like he's saying Tommy's tavern, but it sounds like he's saying tavern. I was like, is it his accent? I don't know what he's trying to say. And you know, he tells them that it's their week, they have the power, 2 women are going home. So, you know, they feeling themselves like, oh, Stevie J with it. And he tells them to focus on chemistry because, you know, it's great when you have attraction, but chemistry is what makes the fire burn for 30 years. I love that tea. And he said that he feels like he has a rainbow with his wife. And his wife has all the colors that he wants. It's like, that is such a beautiful thing to say. I love how Tommy talks about his wife. That's the thing you want your man to talk about you like that. So I love how he represents their black love. So Kalfani says in his confessional that he feels like Denise is the one he has a chemistry with, but he just wants to be sure, you know? So he's going to make sure he makes all his connections and figures out what he wants. So they're having a little mixer, and Chris asked Naya if she could sense that he wanted to kiss her, and that was her doorway, yo. She just went right in for the peck, and which took him off guard, and they had another one. It clearly was, you can tell there was like some nerves within that. It was really cute and shy, but you felt the timidness in it. I love them together. They're so cute. And so Symone is in a corner kicking it with Jay. You guys, Jay is so fine. Like, Jay, I could just lick. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, oh my God, he is just bald and chocolate. And that smile. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, they go back to a flashback of the first interactions when she steals him away from, I think it was Winter, by lying, saying he had to call. And then, you know, that was her little game plan. So she's trying to find her little tricks. Like, these women in this episode, they're undercutting each other like a mug. But girl, you never win when you play dirty now. So we'll see how this works out for you. So now Adrian pulls Kalfani aside from Denise. I think they were playing a game or something. And all she wanted to do is just giggle on him. Lay on him and giggle on him and stuff. And I wondered if it was partly because she wanted to get under Denise's skin, but then also he was her, you know, her backup, her side piece, as she said. So here comes Denise, looking all jealous and extra. She positioned herself to be a stalker chick and watch the 2 of them, and she's like, look at you looking like a cheap floozy. I'm like, that was really harsh. I'm like, let the girl flirt on the man. Like, he's not yours yet. So Alicia's having a conversation with Brian, and she's like, you know, saying she wants to get more aggressive with him in her pursuit to undercut Alex. Because they're such completely different women. Both of them are so beautiful. Alex just gives us a little bit of, I don't want to say timidness, maybe she's shyer, more introverted, whereas Alicia is just like sex appeal. Like, she leads with this body and exudes this confidence. But I just feel like that's not, it's interesting because it's like at face value, it's like they're both pretty girls. But it's like, what is it that you're going for on the inside? And it just seems to me that he's already, you know, kissing Alex. That's the direction that he's trying to go in. But, you know, these girls out here trying to keep their spots. Bring some entertainment to a TV show, huh? So anyway, they go by the pool. It's the next day. Joy asks Denise if she's locked in on Calfani, and she says that, she thinks so, but she still wants to try and have another date with Anthony and see how that goes. And also one with Rashid, just to see if she's tripping and what have you. And they discuss the way Adriana reacted to that conversation the night before. And but I also think that Denise is trying to get underneath Adriana's skin because of the whole thing with Calfani the night before. But yeah, we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if she even get that opportunity because her mouth's is too much. It's too sharp. Sharp cheddar cheese. So they have a pool day with Symone, Denise, Adriana, Rashid, Edwin, and Calfani. Denise and Calfani, they go over to the other side of the pool, and that's when Adriana asks Rashid, like, what has your interactions been like with Denise? And he's like, oh, like, he has no idea. He's like, it's been really nice, like, cool surface. And she shares with him what she had said about him being light-skinned and a frat boy and about the money and all this stuff. And he was really hurt by that. He's like, he says no one's ever referred to him as a narcissist. Now, that don't mean that you're not a narcissist. But, yeah, I think he was really hurt by the statement. And she also follows up with saying that she thinks it's because he's light-skinned. And that cut even deeper. And they, he doesn't want to be judged by his skin complexion. And they have a really deep conversation about complexion, as Symone's also light-skinned. And, guys have dated her because they thought that she was mixed. And that's offensive for her. Whereas also Adriana has had guys tell her that they don't date dark-skinned girls. And it's a conversation with all of my friends, all the Black women I know. There's just such shade trauma and shade shaming. As a woman, clearly you hear most of that coming from men. But, it does come from the females too. So they, talk about the fact that they really need to think about their words and not carry that type of behavior onto the children, onto the next generation. Because it has been something that's been going on since slavery. And so we've adopted something that was passed on to us from white people. And it's constant thing of how white people's racist towards us and wanting to separate us has really messed with our psyches in coming together as a Black community. I'm not going to go on a whole speech about that. I could. We'll be here for a while, but let's just keep going. I just thought it was really nice that they added that in there, and that the show isn't just also surface. So Jay and Winter go on a date, and they talk about the practice of gratitude, which is a big thing for me. I try to remember to be gratitude as often as possible, and it's definitely been something I have to work on. But it's such a beautiful thing when you can find a place of being grateful, and they really vibe off of that. And but she's also wrestling with falling back, because Jay and Joy seem to have a really dope connection, and she doesn't want to be like the second fiddle in that situation. So she's just trying to figure out what her place is with Jay. Tell me what my place with Jay is. We'll move on. So Denise then tells Calfani that she didn't like Adriana being all over him. And, he's like, I'm trying to just get to know people. We were just talking. It wasn't anything seriously deep, but, he's trying to go with the process. But, you know, she's talking about she's willing to fight for, you know, her space with him. But I think that she just made herself look insecure to him. I don't think he found that attractive. And, you know, that was a turnoff. When I think she was trying to exude strength. It didn't work out. So now Brian and Alex go on a paddleboarding date. And he said it was a struggle at first. He was struggling to get out in the water. But it was a fun struggle. And it's cool being in a struggle with someone you enjoy being around. That, like, those are the things you want to hear a man say to understand the direction he's going with you. That was sweet. That was really sweet. So after the paddle boarding, they go and they have some wine. This time, these guys, they're drinking in the correct wine glasses. And, you know, he starts asking her questions. He says, well, they start asking each other questions. He says that he's struggling with not being around his daughter. She's 3 years old. That's the time where, like, your personality starts to come out. And he feels like she acts like him. So it struggles that they're not together every night. He asked Alice what the thing was about herself that a man would have to display a lot of patience with in that area. I thought it was an amazing question. She says it's her vulnerability because it takes her time to break down those walls. But he feels like she's been open with him. You know, she feels like she's holding back a little bit. She also shares with him that her trigger is when a man puts his phone face down. Now, it's weird, I've had guys that I've dated and I've never seen their phone, but it hasn't really bothered me. I'm not really watching people that hard like that, because if you're gonna do something, I'm gonna find out anyway. Then I've dated guys who have given me their phone password and just let me have their phone. And I dated one guy, and one night we were drinking wine and I was just playing around, like going through his text messages in front of him, and found out he had a whole nother son that he tried to play off like it was his cousin. Yeah. Downhill from there. So Edwin sits with Joy, and Edwin is like, he's really handsome. He's like, I can't remember how old he is. I'm trying to remember if he's the guy that is not as old as he looks. Like the salt and pepper can sometimes make you look older than you are, or if he's just older. But he's really handsome. He sits with Joy. She talks to him about her past relationship failures and that she's come across a bunch of men who are trying to find their new mama and their woman, and she's not trying to be anybody's mama. And they discuss therapy. Like, she's an advocate for therapy, and that helped to get over her divorce. And he says it's something that he's really like thinking about doing because, you know, he suffered with PTSD from being an officer. And she asks him how he's gotten through that, and he says through cooking, because now he's a chef. So back at the pool, the guys ask him about his experiences as a law enforcement officer. And, you know, he's going into depth about what he went through and the things that he saw. And Shay's just like, gets up, walks away. She's like, this is dampening her experience. She's here to find love. And by the way, she's yelling this so that he could hear, which was just not smart. I'm like, oh, you don't want to be here, huh? Okay. She's one of those girls who I feel like haven't really found we haven't seen them have a connection with anybody yet. Shay, Symone, is there somebody else? I can't really remember right now. But yeah, Shay and Symone. And you'll find them doing real messy stuff. That just made her look really shallow. And I'm like, at this point, the guys, like, you're on the chopping block, girl. Like, don't make yourself look so surface. So Alicia, Anthony, Joy, and Naya, and Chris are eating together. And Chris asked the women if the fact that the power has shifted has made them become apprehensive. And Naya's like, yes, I feel apprehensive because you're the only guy that likes me. And he's like, so what you worried about? Like, I got you. That was beautiful because it was like, yeah, just so you know, you and I, we're locked in. And it was really cute. They had this cute moment and they kissed in front of everybody, and that's the first time anyone had seen them kiss in the group, I think. But it was, yeah, it's lovely, so sweet. So Winter is at the pool, and you know, she's talking with Jay. She looked real good in that. So this girl had on like this crop top swimsuit off the shoulders. It was really cute for her body. You know, when you get something that fits you good. And so, you know, she's still having them feelings about Jay and Joy and if she should step back. So she pulls Jay to the side. They go to the side. She pulls him to her room. They go back to her room, still in their swimwear, and have a talk with the door closed and no cameras. So yeah, somebody was being nosy. Symone was being nosy and saw that they were in the room together. So they go to the I think it was that night, they have a like campfire and wine, and Adriana pulls Denise aside, trying to clear the air and figure out what her issue is with Rashid and in regards to her comments. And Denise comes with an attitude, like, you know, Adriana tried to come respectfully and with a calm tone, not Denise, with the snap. And she said that she says certain people use what they have to cover up their insecurities. Everyone has insecurities, and yeah, that's normal. Okay, you're clever. Congratulations. And she doesn't understand that why Adriana is coming to talk to her about it, because it has nothing to do with that. And she's like, oh yeah, that's because that's your man. And Adriana's like, well, yes, I did say that he was my first choice, but I also said Kalfani was my second choice. I'm just, that might not be the correct words, because that sounds not cool to have somebody as your second choice, but you know, her top two or what have you. And Denise said like she felt like it wasn't cool that she came over and pulled Kalfani away from her, and she doesn't know why she can't get the same respect that she gives. And Adriana's like, well, I don't get any respect from you. You're always throwing slick comments. You always have an attitude. Like, and you won't even let me talk. She kept cutting her off in the conversation. And so Denise gathers herself and is like, well, maybe I need to tell you about my story, and explains that, you know, she almost didn't make it through that bad relationship she had, and she was missing for 4 days. And that's why she's triggered by Rashid. He says things that trigger her. And, you know, Adriana's like, yeah, okay, I can understand where you're coming from. But in her head, she's still like, yo, Rashid didn't do nothing to you. That has nothing to do with Rashid. Your triggers have nothing to do with this man. I often feel like sometimes we feel like our triggers are a sign about a person, and it could just be our own mirror reflection stuff. So anyway, she leaves. Rashid comes to Adriana. You know, he's feeling really good that she's actually gone out of her way to support him and have his back. So, you know, he's feeling real good about himself. And he just comes off, his energy comes off really sweet to me, very genuine from what we see. And I gotta say that now, because every time I think about Tamar and David Adesefo and how sweet he can seem, and then when you see the asshole side of him, it's wild. So I'm like, from what we see, Rashid seems real cool. So Alicia and Brian have a little date, and they're drinking cooked sparkling wine. I'm feeling really judgy, because I'm like, production couldn't have gotten some better quality liquor. Like, this is what they're drinking. Wow. So, you know, she wants to let him know that she's really feeling him. But I really, like, he says that he likes her, but I could really tell, like, he really is really, like, into Alex. more than her. But he asked her if her kids would be receptive to a man coming in, and she said that they both want a stepfather. And he asked if they're spoiled, and she says yes, but they're respectful. And he says they respect authority, and she's like, oh yeah. And I thought those were amazing questions to ask, because those, like, she has 2 children. That can be a really big deal. You come in with a man who don't know how to talk to your kids, or your kids are disrespectful and there's always an issue. Like, those are things you should know up front. I think he asked amazing questions. And I like that about him. I didn't know if I took him really serious at first, but I'm seeing the way he moves up until this point. And I like the way he did that. So Jay and Joy are cuddled up on the couch, and here comes Symone. She comes over and interjects herself and asks Jay about what he was doing in Winter's room. He said, I saw you going to Winter's room with your top off, and like, what was that about? In front of Joy. And, of course that's going to piss him off. That's not smart. Like, you're another one. I don't know what she thought she was going to get out of that. The smart thing to do would have been to talk to Joy, like pull her aside and tell her what you saw, or ask Winter what was going on, but not go straight to him in front of Joy. Like, you look like you're being messy, and that's going to send your ass packing. Like, you're already on the chopping block, but clearly you want to go back. And I think it's, again, like, she doesn't have a guy, so she's trying to find other ways to make herself relevant in the show. So Brian leaves his date with Alicia. He takes her to her room. He tells her that he's going to come back. So she's excited, waiting for him to come back, but he heads straight over to Alex's room. Tells that he wants to wish her good night. She's so surprised to see him. He's kissing on her. Shay sees this whole thing and decides to go run to Alicia's room to tell her what's going on. Then they sneak down the hallway to see what's up. And that's where the episode ends, in pure mess, child. So I guess we're going to see what his excuses are for that situation in the next episode, and who's going to go home. So I'm assuming right now it's between Symone, Shay, and is there somebody else? Oh, homegirl Denise. So we'll see how this plays out. Alright guys, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and come over to my next video, which will be Put a Ring on It. Alright, bye.